Hello. For those of you who watched my Sibelius 101 series, I promised a video on parts. I occasionally am asked to do some arrangements in what I call a 4+1 series, where I have a melody, harmony, two harmonies, and bass, similar to soprano, alto, tenor, and bass in a choir, along with keyboard. The theory being that a group that has a melody instrument, a harmony instrument, two harmony instruments, and a bass instrument, four instruments, and a keyboard part will be able to play this no matter what the instrumentation is. But in order to do that, that means lots of parts. Sibelius is nice in that it does automatic parts. You don't have to extract and create your own parts. Over here in the ribbon is the parts menu, and there are quite a few options we'll look at. But over here on the very right corner, just below the ribbon, you have a little plus sign. You want to use manuscripts or templates to create your parts. Once you set up a template, then you don't have to worry about it again. Over here on the right is that plus symbol, and that's all the parts I have in here. Notice I have a melody, high melody, B flat, E flat harmonies, F, even alto clef, bass clef for harmony 1, and so forth in here. And we're going to talk on how I did all these different ones in here. So let's go with the basic, the melody, C melody, and it pops up just the part. You'll notice the background changes to that purple color to indicate what's going on. The biggest thing in parts for me is the part appearance. Let's work on the current part just to give you an example of what's in here. You can specify the page size. Sometimes you want it to be the same as the score. Sometimes you may want it to be a bigger size for some reason, or smaller size, or landscape. Especially if you have a score that's in landscape, you might want to do portrait here. Your staff size, same as score, or millimeter or inch size. You can also specify your margins, just like you do in a regular document. You can also talk about page setup, which you should have done way back when you started your document, or you're creating your template manuscript. You can also do layout, and here's where it gets interesting for parts. I highly recommend taking advantage of these auto break features. The default, I believe, is what this is, and it's use auto system breaks at rehearsal marks. You'll see the A and the C here. Tempo text, double bar lines, key changes. You can put in page breaks at final bars, bar lines, bar rests. These are good defaults. Sometimes you may need to click on doing it every 4 bars or whatever you want to, whatever looks good. But try these out and see how those work in here. If you have title pages in your original score, you need to click on these title pages. Sometimes you might have special page breaks. You really don't want a page break within a part. For the most part, you would probably want to turn them into system breaks so that it breaks the system instead of jumping to a page. You'll have to play with that to see what you like. That's what this does, this option here. This one up here is for special page breaks. You can keep system breaks and other breaks that are in here. You can indent your first system. Let's do that just to show you what that looks like if you want to do that. You can also import a different house style. If you have a particular house style that you want, you can import it in here. And you can also make changes to just this document within the house style. The nice thing on this page, this is on the part appearance, you can specify all parts and it will change every part that you have over here in your pull down menu. Now let's take a look at these different parts here. So we've loaded in the high melody part, and you'll see it's an octave higher. It's also showing the guitar chord symbols. I believe in here we can remove the chord diagrams. You just Control A, remove chord diagram. and they're gone. So what I did was I took when I went up to the parts, I did new part, and it asked me what I want to base it off of. So I want to base it off the melody. I add to part, and here we have a new part. We do Control D, I'm sorry, not Control D, we'll get to that in a second. File, and go up here to change the part name to whatever you want, but for our sake, new part, so we don't have any confusion. It changes it here, and if you go to your pull down menu here, new part. But we want it to be up an octave. So highlight everything, Control A, then Control Shift Alternate I. Not I. I forgot what it was. I'm forgetting my my shortcuts. Go to the Home menu, change instrument. We will change it to guitar, which doesn't show up in the list. You have to do acoustic guitar to get it to show up. So there we go. So we change it to acoustic guitar, and everything's up the octave. The final orchestral score or instrument score that I'm using will not have chord symbols, so for now you can just ignore them. I used them when I was writing the part, and this is an incomplete composition at this point, but it's good for showing some examples. Let me get rid of those again, just to get rid of them. So that's it. That's basically how you create a bunch of parts based off of one instrument. If we go to Harmony 1 bass clef, this was originally in the treble clef part. If we look at the full score here, Harmony 1 is a treble clef instrument, but here it's in the bass clef. So what we did was you took the original part, Harmony 2, selected everything, changed the instrument, and the reason it's giving me that error is because I've done Control A in this case. What I want to do is select here and shift click here, and then Control Alternate Shift I or change will work that. So I find an instrument, obviously not a guitar, that will show in bass clef. So we change the instrument to one that will transpose it into bass clef. That's where knowing your instruments and transpositions will come in very handy. I do also recommend doing the little trick of selecting everything, going to Appearance, Reset Note Spacing, and then Layout, Optimize. You've got some options where you can copy the current part layout. Let's say we like what we have in the high melody. We want to copy it to all the other existing parts. We can do that. And of course we can change all the open parts, current part, or all the parts. You can print just the parts. You can specify in an existing part which staves may not, or that you wish to have included in here. And as you'll notice, baritone horn is the instrument I used for the transposition. So when I was doing the instrument here, it was baritone horn. Right here, baritone and C bass clef. So you have to just define the right instrument when you're doing that. You can specify new part as we already specified or already talked about. You can also take the existing melody, or existing part, I'm sorry, and copy and change the instrument. So we're going to create a new part in doing this. So let's make it into a viola part. Melody part for viola. And there it is. One thing with playback, I think that's working. Let's see if the high melody does it, if this is going to be guitar or not. No. Okay, even though we've changed the instrument here to guitar, it plays back what's specified in the score. And in this case, I just did violin, viola, cello, and bass, just for simple playback. This is not something I'll probably ever do a recording with or do anything with in that regard. Just here's a full-blown orchestra score, or almost full-blown. There's not any percussion to speak of, just a timpani part in here. And I will show you what those parts look like. So we come over here to the parts, and we can choose what we want. I have a flute part. You can also, if you want to go and tweak your individual parts without affecting the score, you can go to the Extract Parts menu, which extracts the dynamic parts into separate scores. Everything stays as you have it, what you see here, but the nice thing is you can go in and edit it such that it doesn't change the score. Sometimes that's nice to do, especially in very complex scores. Alrighty, thanks for watching. If you have any more suggestions on tutorials for Sibelius or any of the native instrument products, I use quite a few of those, and I've even gotten into using Machine now. Let me know. You can check out my website for sheet music such as the ones you've seen here, as well as iTunes for albums I have, CD Baby, and SoundCloud. All the links are at the webpage, jamesgilbertmusic.com. Thanks for watching.